everybody, time for a post 300 mile part running service update. Now, those of you who don't know, it's 300 miles for the first service, the part running in service. The full running in is 1250 miles roughly. We had a couple of niggles, being honest, of course, as usual, which we'll come on to in a bit, but overall not too bad. We've managed just over 86 to the gallon running in, and that's up to 40 mile an hour at around about no more than 3000 RPM. Of course, sometimes you go over a bit. Before we get too much into the update, some things I forgot from the introduction video. I haven't fitted the grille for the headlight off Webley Mark 1 yet. I'm waiting till I can get more up the rev range to about 4750, 5000 RPM. That seemed to create reverberations, mainly a noise thing going on really, that was the most irritating bit about it, which amplified through the screen, and it's caused generally, I think, by the bulb holder or the connection to the back of the bulb in the headlight tapping at times against the body inside the headlight itself. So we wait to see if that happens before I have to take it off, because if I have to put the grille on, I'll have to take it off again and take the headlight out again to put the draft excluder on to stop it. It is very, very good for a H4, very well set up and very bright. I suppose that's more to do with the reflector than anything. I put these on before I did the introduction video. They are off Webley Mark 1. They're the extension pieces, all stainless. You get 4 bolts from Hitchcock's for 10 quid. And they rise up about, I think it's about 15 mil. I bought it so I didn't have to be too picky about what tyres I put on, if they got deeper tread and chance of rubbing against the mud guard. But of course, also, it helps clear the mud from underneath and out of the tyre a bit. It doesn't trap it in as much. Now the mirrors, if you watch the first video, the introduction video, I moved them forward to get better access here basically. Something that was an issue more on Johnny, and it gave me the idea to do it on this as well. Not that it was as much of an issue because they're a lot taller away from the bar. The trouble was the left hand one was catching the screen extension, so I've moved that one back a bit and the other one to match, if you like. They probably could do with a little bit more of a tweak, but they're alright and they're not too buzzy really. I think it's settled down a little bit, it being brand new of course at the time. Now I still think the suspension all round is stiffer, but I haven't got Webley Mark 1 to jump onto to compare. Maybe it's just because it's new, or maybe it's because I'm not running with the air cushion on the seat. There's a reason for that, because I've bought, and it has come, but I'm not putting it on yet, for a reason you'll find out at the end. I've bought the touring seat. Some people say it's not much of a change, others say it is. Itchy Boots says it's very good, basically, in her own way. Doesn't know why she never put it on her first Himalayan. So we'll try that out when we get to it, maybe that'll sort that out. But because I'm sitting lower without that air cushion on, I'm getting more buffeting off the screen. Now for me, that buffeting is off the sides more than the top. So there ain't much I can do about that, unless the touring seat is stiff enough to effectively raise me up a little bit, or rather not let me sink a little bit as low as this one does. I do find this side stand a little bit longer than the original. If you've read or had Himalayans, you'll probably understand that they do sit a little bit high. Webley Mark 1 wasn't too bad, and I never really had any issues, but some people have, and it does seem the way with Webley Mark 2 here. I've ordered a new stand, in fact it's arrived, which only took, well, it would have took 5 days if FedEx hadn't messed about. But about 5 days from India, 30 quid, and it's going to be chopped down, I'm told about 8mm, which will give me a little bit more lean angle, which makes it so you don't have to worry about exactly so much where you park the bike. Sometimes you realise that unless you can get on the centre stand, don't put it on the side stand. It's just too unnerving, although it's probably okay for the most part. At least with this mod, which is, you know, just a spring and a bolt to do, it's easy to swap back to should you need to. As for issues with the bike, prior to the service, the left hand grip was a bit loose at this end only. That's been fixed. The too high tick over, the somewhat variable too high tick over, has been sorted out. It's now ticking over nicely whether the engine's cold or warm at around 1200, 1250 as it should. It did at one point get to nearly 2000 RPM, and again it was fine when the engine was cold, but when it was warmed up it was a bit variable, and 1500 to 2000, mostly it seemed to settle around 1600 or so, something like that. That's been sorted. As you know, I fitted the Hitchcock's engine bars and no problems with the bars there, but there was a problem with the original Royal Enfield bolt through the engine mount at the top, or midway if you like. Basically it's stripped. When I took it out, and this is with hindsight, folks, a bit of guesswork. It was so tight. Now, I didn't know what the torque setting was, so I thought, well, the service is in a few days' time. I'll get them to do it for me, which they did. And they couldn't tighten it up to the proper torque setting, which is 50 Newton meters. And if you want to know what that is, that's about the same as the rear spindle for when you adjust your chain. So it's not really that much, and it's easily done with your hand. It's a bit awkward to get at for this thing with the exhaust in the way and what have you, but it was so tight on reflection. Anyway, they come to torque it up, and it wouldn't torque up. They took the nut off, and the nut and the bolt had both lost a lot of its thread. So a new one was put in. They hadn't got any Royal Enfield ones in stock, so they put this one in, and to be honest, it looks better all round straight away. So I don't see a need to change that for an original. I could have done, but fine by me. I mean, generally, like the bolts to hold the heel plate on, which I haven't done yet, although I have got the new stainless bolts. We know they're a bit soft, so when you come to change them or take them out, why not replace them with some better stuff? News just in this morning. Entries are now open for next year's Welsh National Rally, Navigational Scatter Rally, which is on the first Saturday of May 2020. Check out the Clive MCC's website. As you can hear, she's ticking over nicely now. 1200 or so RPM. We've got 437 miles on the clock. It's took a while to do that, just because the weather's been so bad, to be honest. It's been really wet. Even though it's autumn now, it has been perhaps more wet than it normally is, I don't know, but anyway, it's been wet. I'm hoping to add some more, of course. There is a slight issue with that. Now, the bike overall seems about the same as Webley Mark 1, apart from what I said about the suspension. Maybe Mark 2's a little bit less smooth, maybe, but we've only got 400 odd miles on, so we'll see, we'll wait, we'll bide our time on that one. It's not fully running until 1250 miles or so. The next stage, which is from now up to 1250 miles, is, well, I'm doing up to 50 mile an hour and 4000 RPM, which is peak torque anyway. And occasionally you will go over, so, and vary it as well, vary the gears and etc. Not too hard acceleration. But there is an issue adding miles, because a couple of days ago, almost exactly the same as Webley Mark 1, Webley Mark 2 as he took the backside as well, 3 weeks after I had her. So thanks to the dozy mare, who for some reason, only known to her, she didn't stop at an island.